Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Chandna.
And I'm Raisha Saigal. On the show today, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been arrested in the alleged excise policy-linked money laundering case. Kejriwal is the first sitting Chief Minister to have been arrested. The Aam Aadmi Party has now called for a nationwide protest against the arrest, while asserting on how Kejriwal will continue his duties as the Chief Minister from jail. What is next for the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal? We'll of course be tracking all of that on World DNA this morning.
Also on the show today, the Israeli siege of Al-Shifa Hospital continues into its fifth day, with Israel threatening to blow up the building. Meanwhile, the head of the Mossad spy agency is set to meet his CIA and Egyptian counterparts in Qatar after the US said that the gap in Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks is narrowing. We are going to be tracking all those developments very closely right here on World in the next 60 minutes. Let's get you started with the headlines.
Enforcement Directorate arrests Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the alleged liquor policy scam. His party AAP decides to knock Supreme Court's door. Party leaders plan nationwide demonstrations.
The United States will ask the UN Security Council to back a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and an Israel-Hamas hostage deal, increasing pressure on Israel to allow more aid into Gaza.
US files a landmark lawsuit against Apple, accusing the tech giant of monopolizing the smartphone market and crushing competition.
New York Attorney General's office files judgments in Westchester County, the first indication that the state is preparing to try to seize Donald Trump's golf course and private estate north of Manhattan.
India begins Operation Indravati to evacuate its nationals from Haiti. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India is fully committed to the security and well-being of its people abroad.
Starting with big updates from India, Aam Aadmi Party, a party which was born from a protest, will return to its roots. Thousands of party workers have vowed to protest across Delhi.
Right, so the demonstrations is in reaction to the arrest of party leader and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal.
Now, Kejriwal's arrest by the Enforcement Directorate is the first. He is the first sitting Chief Minister to be arrested in connection with the alleged liquor scam case. Later today, Kejriwal will be presented before the court. AAP leaders have also approached the Supreme Court for an urgent hearing. AAP says Kejriwal will continue his duties as the Chief Minister of Delhi even if he's in jail. Legal experts say this move can create a constitutional crisis.
2 साल में जब से इस केस का इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है, 2 साल में 1 रुपए की भी रिकवरी ना ईडी ना सीबीआई कर पाई है। 500 से ज्यादा अफसर इस केस में लगे हुए थे। 1000 से ज्यादा रेड्स हुए। आम आदमी पार्टी के नेताओं के घर, मंत्रियों के घर, उनके ऑफिसेज में हर जगह रेड हुई, लेकिन उसके बावजूद 1 रुपया आज तक नहीं मिला है। तो आज लोकसभा का चुनाव अनाउंस होने के बाद अरविंद केजरीवाल का अरेस्ट एक राजनीतिक साजिश है।
The party has called for a nationwide demonstrations. AAP leaders have asked people to gather outside Bharatiya Janata Party headquarters. Reports claim party leaders have spent the whole night planning the demonstrations, which will take place in just a short while from now. Some reports even claim that local councillors and MLAs have been asked to mobilize people. Meanwhile, the BJP is demanding his immediate resignation after his arrest.
कानून को अपना काम करने दिया जाए और कुछ लोग कह रहे हैं कि वो जेल से ही सरकार चलाएंगे, तो ये भी हम कमाल की नई बात सुन रहे हैं। देखा जाएगा, लेकिन ये शुद्ध भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ कार्रवाई है, जिस कार्रवाई में भाग लेने से केजरीवाल जी हमेशा भागते रहे। तो अब न्यायालय ने सुना, सब कुछ हुआ, इसलिए अब जो लोग तूफान खड़ा करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है। भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ एक गंभीर मामले में न्याय प्रक्रिया को अपना काम करने दिया जाए।
Opposition leaders from Congress and other parties have criticized Kejriwal's arrest. Congress says Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, is trying to weaken the opposition by indulging in illegal means ahead of the polls.
NCP leader Supriya Sule called the ED crackdown on Delhi Chief Minister a politically motivated arrest. Kejriwal has skipped all 9 summons issued by the ED since last year, calling them illegal. Some of the top leaders of his party are already behind bars in the alleged money laundering case.
Now, the list includes former Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi Manish Sisodia and Rajya Sabha lawmaker Sanjay Singh. Last week, the agency arrested Telangana lawmaker and TDP leader K. Kavita in Hyderabad. The Enforcement Directorate alleges Kavita, along with others, had conspired with the senior AAP leaders, the Aam Aadmi Party leaders, and claims that she was involved in paying sums of $12 million to the leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party.
Another global news, Shivan. Israel's spy chief is due to travel to Qatar for ceasefire negotiations.
Well, US will ask the UN Security Council to back a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and an Israel-Hamas hostage deal. Washington is increasing pressure on its ally Israel to allow more humanitarian aid and better protect the civilians there.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in Egypt that he believed that the talks mediated by the US, Qatar and Egypt could still reach a ceasefire deal. Take a listen.
We've been working, as you know, with Egypt, with Qatar, and with Israel to put a strong proposal on the table. Hamas responded to that. The negotiators continue to work. The gaps are narrowing, and we're continuing to push for an agreement in Doha. There's still difficult work to get there, but I continue to believe it's possible.
Arab ministers and a top Palestinian official briefed Blinken on their vision for a ceasefire in Gaza, followed by concrete measures to implement a two-state solution. The group that met Blinken in Cairo included the foreign ministers of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Jordan. He also met the UAE Minister for International Cooperation and senior Palestinian Authority figure Hussein al-Sheikh.
Experts will meet in the coming few days to decide steps to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. As per the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, the group that met Blinken stressed their opposition to any displacement of the Palestinians from their land.
Blinken earlier met President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. They discussed the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with security guarantees for Israel. Blinken had met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan in Saudi Arabia on Wednesday. The US Secretary of State said that Washington and Riyadh have made good progress in talks on normalizing ties between the kingdom and Israel. However, he did not provide a timeline for concluding a deal.
And we had a very good discussion about the work that we've been doing for many months now on normalization, and that work is moving forward. We're continuing to make good progress. I believe we can reach an agreement which would present a historic opportunity for two nations, but also for the region as a whole.
Washington, which traditionally has shielded Israel at the UN, has applied more pressure to its longtime ally. The draft UN Security Council resolution on Gaza ceasefire marks a further toughening of its stance.
The shift has coincided with rising global condemnation of the war, civilian deaths, domestic political opposition to Biden's stance and the prospect of a man-made famine here. Earlier in the war, the US was averse to the word ceasefire and vetoed measures that included calls for an immediate ceasefire. But during the war, Washington had vetoed 3 draft resolutions, 2 of which would have demanded an immediate ceasefire. Most recently, the US justified its veto by saying that such council action could jeopardize ceasefire talks. Lionel Messi helped rescue an Argentine grandmother from Hamas abductors.
Sounds fake, right? But it's true. Well, on October 7th, Hamas launched an attack on Israel. 250 Israelis and soldiers were taken as hostages back to Gaza.
Well, 90-year-old Esther Cuneo was at the center of a terrifying ordeal alongside 8 members of her family. What happened next? Well, watch this report to know exactly what happened.
I'm from where Messi is from. It was these words that 90-year-old Esther Cuneo credits for saving her during the October the 7th rampage. Moments earlier, 2 Palestinian gunmen had invaded her home in southern Israel near the Gaza border. Cuneo, who was born in Argentina but lives in kibbutz near Oz, spoke about her horrifying encounter in a new documentary called Voces del 7 de Octubre, Latino Stories of Survival. As the 2 intruders demanded to know where her family was, she told them she couldn't speak Arabic, only Argentine Spanish. She said they asked what Argentina was, so, seizing the moment, she mentioned it was Lionel Messi's home country.
Entonces le digo, vos mirás fútbol.
So I tell him, do you watch soccer? He then says to me, yes, I like soccer. So I say to him, I'm from where Messi is from. Then he replies, Messi, I like Messi.
A mí me gusta Messi.
Then a surreal moment happened.
Me agarró así del brazo, acá.
He put my hand like this, right here. He gave the revolver to me, the shotgun.
Me puso la mano así.
He put his hand like this, and they took the picture of us. And well, then they left.
Entonces se fueron.
The picture of Cuneo with an AK-47 on her lap, sitting next to a Palestinian militant, went viral on social media. In another part of Israel's near Oz, Cuneo's grandsons were taken hostage. Cuneo says she awaits the return of her golden boys.
Y ahora espero que si él sabe que yo lo mencioné.
And now I hope that Messi knows that I mentioned him, and because of him I was saved.
Nietos que están ahí encerrados. Y le diría que por favor ruegue por Dios.
Now I would ask for my grandchildren, for my 2 grandchildren who are locked up in Gaza. I would tell him to please pray to God to send them to him. Because they are kids who are worth gold, one David and the other Ariel Cuneo.
The Hamas attack on October the 7th sparked the devastating war in Gaza that has raged for more than 5 months. Argentina, Peru and Mexico have said co-nationals of their countries have been either killed or kidnapped in the conflict.
As gang violence spirals in Haiti, India initiated a critical operation to evacuate its nationals from the embattled nation in the operation codenamed Indravati.
Now, 12 Indian nationals have already been successfully evacuated to safety to neighbouring Dominican Republic. A dedicated control room has been established by India's Ministry of External Affairs. This, along with the issuance of emergency helpline numbers to provide assistance and support to those affected, underscoring India's unwavering dedication to safeguarding its citizens in challenging circumstances. External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar, in a social media post, said, and I quote him here, fully committed to the security and well-being of our nationals abroad. Jaishankar also expressed gratitude for the support extended by the Dominican Republic in evacuation of its nationals. The operation, spearheaded by Indian Ambassador to the Dominican Republic, Ramu Abagani, on the ground, aims to relocate Indians from Haiti to the neighbouring region.
Well, the Indian government has launched several successful missions to bring back its citizens stranded in many countries affected by natural disasters, wars or other crises. The previous being Operation Rahat, Yemen in 2015. Well, it was an operation of the Indian Armed Forces to evacuate Indian citizens and foreign nationals from Yemen.
During the 2015 military intervention by Saudi Arabia during the Yemeni crisis, that is when this took place. Now, the evacuation witnessed rescuing of more than 4,640 Indian citizens in Yemen, along with 960 foreign nationals from 41 countries. Then in 2016, Operation Sankat Mochan was an operation of the Indian Air Force to evacuate Indian citizens and other foreign nationals during the South Sudanese civil war. Then in May 2020, when the world was battling the coronavirus pandemic and witnessing mass casualties, India, with Operation Samudra Setu, evacuated as many as 3,992 Indian citizens who were repatriated to their homeland by sea.
In 2021, Operation Devi Shakti was an operation of the Indian Armed Forces after the collapse of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the fall of Kabul. India evacuated over 800 people back then. Operation Ganga was an evacuation mission carried out by the Indian government during the 2022 Russia-Ukraine war. People were then transported from Romania, Hungary, Poland, Moldova and Slovakia to India with the help from these countries that I just listed.
In 2023, Operation Kaveri was conducted by the Indian Armed Forces to evacuate Indian citizens and foreign nationals from Sudan during the conflict. The Indian government evacuated nearly 2,500 Indian citizens back then. India has further provided relief to countries during disasters such as Operation Maitri in 2015 post the Nepal earthquake and Operation Dost in 2023 post Turkey-Syria earthquake. It's a full-blown war between the US Federal Trade Commission and tech giant Apple. The US antitrust agency has decided to sue Apple for alleged violation of antitrust laws.
Right, while Apple has denied any kind of wrongdoings, the US FTC's latest move is a part of its larger crackdown against tech monopolies. Our next report getting you a complete picture. Take a look.
Apple has employed a strategy that relies on exclusionary, anti-competitive conduct that hurts both consumers and developers.
U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced a landmark lawsuit against Apple on Thursday, accusing the iPhone maker of violating federal antitrust law by monopolizing the smartphone market.
Apple has consolidated its monopoly power not by making its own products better, but by making other products worse.
The lawsuit, brought by the Department of Justice and 15 states, alleges that Apple hurt smaller rivals and that it charges various business partners behind the scenes in ways that ultimately raise prices for consumers and drive up Apple's profits.
If left unchallenged, Apple will only continue to strengthen its smartphone monopoly. But there's a law for that.
Garland outlined a variety of allegations, including that Apple made it more difficult for competing messaging apps to work smoothly on its phones.
If an iPhone user messages a non-iPhone user in Apple Messages, the text appears not only as a green bubble, but incorporates limited functionality. The conversation is not encrypted, videos are pixelated and grainy, and users cannot edit messages or see typing indicators. As a result, iPhone users perceive rival smartphones as being lower quality because the experience of messaging friends and family who do not own iPhones is worse, even though Apple is the one responsible for breaking cross-platform messaging.
Garland said the aim of the lawsuit is to free smartphone makers from Apple's anti-competitive behavior, bring down phone prices and developer fees, and preserve innovation. Apple denied the government's allegations in a statement, adding that if the DOJ's lawsuit is successful, it would, quote, hinder our ability to create the kind of technology people expect from Apple, where hardware, software, and services intersect. The lawsuit is part of a broader crackdown on big tech in the U.S., where regulators have also sued Alphabet's Google, Meta, and Amazon during the administrations of both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump.
Moving on, Russia has started mass production of 3-ton high explosive bombs for its war in Ukraine.
Well, officials from the Russian Defense Ministry said that the production of the Fab 3000 aerial bombs had begun back in February. Russian Defense Minister, who inspected a defense industrial plant in Nizhny Novgorod region, informed that the mass production of several other bombs, which include the Fab 500 and the Fab 1500, have also been ramped up.
If we talk about the manufacture of artillery ammunition, the volume of production of components for this ammunition has been increased by almost 22 times.
Since Russia's war with Ukraine, artillery shell production in Russia has risen by nearly 2.5 times, while the artillery component production has also increased by a factor of 22. And with Russia's current dominance in artillery production, the West fears that Kremlin is set for more battlefield wins.
Now, earlier this month, CNN report cited that Russia is producing nearly 3 times as many artillery munitions as the United States and Europe combined, to which the Russian defense minister said the sufficient amount of projectiles are produced to ensure delivery of the quote-unquote special military operation.
The new production facilities have been built and have started to work at their full capacity. Moreover, 75% of the components are being restored, which allows us to maintain the delivery of ammunition to the zone of the special military operations in Ukraine at a sufficient level.
Russia currently controls a little under a fifth of Ukraine and says that the territory is now a part of Russia. Ukraine says it is the subject of an imperial-style land grab and that it will not rest until every last Russian soldier is ejected from its land. Well, it's now time for a quick short break.
Don't go anywhere. This is World DNA. We are going to be back. When we get back, in a landmark move, the United Nations has adopted the first global resolution on artificial intelligence. This resolution encourages member countries to safeguard human rights, protect personal data, and monitor AI for risks. We are going to be tracking that closely for you. Stay tuned.
Also, on the other side of this quick short break, we will tell you about a path-breaking study by Johns Hopkins University reveals AI's ability to detect COVID-19 in lung ultrasound images. This breakthrough brings healthcare professionals closer to swift COVID-19 diagnosis and identifying other lung diseases. Stay tuned. You're watching WION World is One.
India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
From New York, we get you to the sandy shores of Durban, where I'll bring you all the glitz, glam, and happenings from the world of showbiz.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
The biggest democratic exercise on the planet ever. Decoding the multiple colors of this multi-dimensional, multi-layered spectacle. WION deciphers the images and the hues. Sifts real performance from rhetoric and noise, claims and counterclaims, populist pitches and hidden truths. Untangling, unraveling this celebration of democracy.
Economic turmoil and global unrest have cast a shadow over President Joe Biden's approval ratings.
The rockets are continuing to be fired by Hamas in Gaza, although at a slower rate than previously.
So, right now, we are with the volunteers from the Aleppo municipality. They are still trying to go to the rescue for the people they can find out.
India has emerged as a major diplomatic force at the world stage.
The rising cost of living in Nigeria continues to impact citizens from all walks of life.
The citizens of Gujarat witnessed a mega roadshow here in the city of Ahmedabad.
China is South Africa's largest trading partner for 134 years straight.
A domestic aircraft carrying 72 people on board crashed in Pokhara city in central Nepal.
165 injuries have been moved, 61 people are confirmed dead, and rescue operations continue around me.
After receiving an entire season's rainfall in a span of 48 hours, Chennai city has literally been brought to its knees.
For WION, World is One.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying with us. You're watching Beyond World is One with me, Raisha and Shivan. And so far on the show, we discussed how India has started Operation Indravati to evacuate its nationals from Haiti.
In the next half hour of the show, we are going to be tracking the big development which has come in from India. In New Delhi, for the first time ever, a sitting chief minister has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. Arvind Kejriwal is in the ED's custody since last night, and there are going to be big developments coming in through the course of today. We are going to be bringing you up to date on that. For now, let's get you started with the headlines. This is World DNA.
Enforcement Directorate arrests Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the alleged liquor policy scam. His party, AAP, decides to knock Supreme Court's door. Party leaders plan nationwide demonstrations.
The United States will ask the UN Security Council to back a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and an Israel-Hamas hostage deal, increasing pressure on Israel to allow more aid into Gaza. US files a landmark lawsuit against Apple, accusing the tech giant of monopolizing the smartphone market and crushing competition. New York Attorney General's office files judgments in Westchester County, the first indication that the state is preparing to try to seize Donald Trump's golf course and private estate north of Manhattan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves for a two-day visit to Bhutan. He was earlier scheduled to leave on Thursday, but the visit was postponed due to inclement weather conditions in the Himalayan nation. India begins Operation Indravati to evacuate its nationals from Haiti. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says that India is fully committed to the security and well-being of its nationals abroad.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been arrested by India's Enforcement Directorate on Thursday night in an alleged excise policy-linked money laundering case. The arrest, the first of a sitting Chief Minister, it comes after the Delhi High Court refused to grant protection to Kejriwal from any coercive action by the agency. The 55-year-old leader's arrest amid campaign for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, it drew angry reactions from his Aam Aadmi Party. Here's more on this. Let's first analyze the Delhi excise case. Now, the Delhi government introduced a new liquor policy in November 2021. Under this very policy, the Delhi government, it exited from the liquor business and handed it over to private vendors in a license-based system. Now, it was done to eliminate the liquor mafia, that's what they said, and also increase government revenue and improve consumer experience. Well, this policy was withdrawn after a Central Bureau of Investigation probe was recommended by the Delhi Lieutenant Governor back then. Now, Delhi Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena, he flagged violation of norms and lapses in the Delhi liquor policy. Now, India's ED is an organization mandated with number 1, investigation of offense money laundering, and number 2, violations of foreign exchange laws. Now, let's also take a look at the leaders facing ED heat in the case. Number 1, Aam Aadmi Party Chief and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. The ED says that the excise policy was formulated with loopholes that promoted cartel formations through the back door to benefit AAP leaders. Former Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, following legal troubles, Sisodia had resigned from the Delhi government, with the AAP handing over his portfolio to his party colleague Atishi. Moving on, AAP lawmaker and parliamentarian Sanjay Singh. Singh was arrested on October 4th, 2023, following 10 hours of searches at his home. Last but not the least, Bharat Rashtra Samiti politician, lawmaker K. Kavita, as per the Enforcement Directorate probe revealed, the Bharat Rashtra Samiti leader K. Kavita and others conspired with AAP leaders Kejriwal and Sisodia. K. Kavita is allegedly a key member of the South Group, accused of paying the Aam Aadmi Party kickbacks in return for a big share of liquor licenses. And for more on this, WION's correspondent Dharamjot Kaur joins us live from outside the Enforcement Directorate's office in New Delhi. Hi Dharamjot. Now the Aam Aadmi Party's Delhi unit, it has called for nationwide demonstrations starting at 10 a.m. local time just a short while from now. You're joining us from outside the ED office in New Delhi. Tell us, what is the on-ground situation?
Well, Raisha, security, of course, outside the ED office has been beefed up. As we know, the Delhi Chief Minister was arrested last night and kept here in custody by the probe agency. Now, in any moment now, in a few moments, in a little while, the Enforcement Directorate will be presenting the Chief Minister at a local district court just a few miles from here. Of course, side by side, there are multiple things that will be going on. The Aam Aadmi Party workers have decided to stage a protest outside the BJP office, which is also near the district court. So a lot of action will be seen in this area around me. Of course, the Chief Minister will be escorted from the visuals that you're seeing on your screen from the ED office right here any moment now. Following which, there are multiple things that would happen simultaneously. There is a plea that has been filed by the Aam Aadmi Party at the Supreme Court. That is yet to be listed. Now, the plea is, of course, against quashing the arrest against Arvind Kejriwal. But in the same time, parallelly, the Enforcement Directorate is trying to get custody of the Delhi Chief Minister to carry out an official investigation. Raisha?
This, of course, he will be presented in front of a local court. This is going to be as per the ED's procedures. What can we really expect there? And also the bigger question at the moment is, will he now step down as the Delhi Chief Minister? Because at least the Aam Aadmi Party thinks so, that he will continue as the Chief Minister.
Well, Shivan, to answer the second part of your question first, yes, the Aam Aadmi Party has said that Arvind Kejriwal will remain the Chief Minister. They're saying that Kejriwal will be functioning in his chief ministerial capacity from inside prison as and when that situation arises. However, there is no clarity in terms of how that will work out. The prison manual does not have any explicit rules and regulations in terms of whether or not a leader can carry out his government duties from inside prison. There are only certain caveats for governors and the Indian president as of now, but as Chief Minister and other leaders do not fall under that ambit. So how will Kejriwal manage to administratively carry out his role as Delhi's Chief Minister? That is something that remains to be seen, because the manual per se does not have any explicit provisions in it. Now, coming to the first part of your question, the Enforcement Directorate had clarified last night that they did not carry out any questioning of the Delhi Chief Minister throughout the night. They only arrested him. They've kept him in custody right now, right behind here at the ED office. They conducted a health checkup on the Aam Aadmi Party leader, but now they will present him in front of a district court, where they will seek custody of the Delhi Chief Minister to then begin their official process of investigation and questioning. Shivan?
All right, that was Dharamjot Kaur joining us from outside the Enforcement Directorate's office. You are going to be tracking all the developments closely, Dharam, and we will be keeping in touch as it comes through the day. Thank you so much for joining in.
Moving on, in a landmark move, the United Nations, it has adopted the first global resolution on artificial intelligence.
Well, this resolution encourages member countries to safeguard human rights, protect personal data and monitor AI for risks. Now, here's what the US Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said. Listen in.
All 193 members of the United Nations General Assembly have spoken in one voice and together chosen to govern artificial intelligence rather than let it govern us. The groundbreaking resolution adopted today cements global consensus for safe, secure, trustworthy AI systems that both advance sustainable development and respect fundamental freedoms.
The non-binding resolution took 3 months to negotiate and has been proposed by the US and co-sponsored by China and 122 other countries. The resolution is the latest in a series of initiatives by governments around the world to shape AI's growth. Now, these initiatives come amid fears that AI could be used to disrupt democratic procedures, aid frauds, or lead to dramatic job losses.
Let us reaffirm that AI will be created and deployed through the lens of humanity and dignity, safety and security, human rights and fundamental freedoms.
In November last year, the US, Britain and a dozen other countries unveiled the first detailed international agreement on keeping artificial intelligence safe from rogue actors. That agreement also pushed for companies to create AI systems that are secure by design. Europe has already taken the lead on regulating AI, with lawmakers adopting a provisional agreement this month to oversee the technology. The Biden administration has been pressing lawmakers for AI regulation, but a polarized Congress has made little headway here. Our correspondent Susan Tehrani gives us further insight with this report on the resolution. Listen in.
The United Nations General Assembly has made history by passing its first ever resolution on artificial intelligence. 123 countries co-sponsored the resolution, which aims to ensure AI benefits all nations, respects human rights, and is safe and secure. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan earlier called it a historic step forward in fostering responsible AI use. The resolution aims to close the digital divide, support developing countries, and regulate AI to prevent misuse. Big tech companies already support regulation, while EU lawmakers have approved comprehensive AI rules. The UN resolution encourages global cooperation, warning against improper AI use, and emphasizes human rights. The goal to harness AI to achieve UN development goals by 2030, like ending hunger and poverty. In a rare demonstration of unity among countries, it appears that the global community is choosing to govern AI instead of letting it govern us. Is that too ambitious? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Let's take a look at other news from the world of technology. In the world of COVID-19 detection, AI tools play a key role in assisting and analyzing lung ultrasound images. However, if not properly trained, these tools might misdiagnose COVID-19 cases. Enters artificial intelligence. A recent study by Johns Hopkins University reveals AI's ability to detect COVID-19 in lung ultrasound images. This breakthrough brings healthcare professionals closer to swift COVID-19 diagnosis and identify other lung diseases. The study reveals that AI technology utilizes algorithms to study ultrasound images for disease indicators. The idea of the study, it started from overwhelmed emergency rooms that needed patients assessed rapidly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Researchers of the study note that this new technology has the potential to wearables for tracking illnesses like congestive heart failure as well.
A letter from the US government warns about cyber attacks targeting vital water and sewage systems across the nation. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan sounded the alarm, revealing that foreign hackers have launched disabling cyber attacks on water facilities. The letter has blamed China and Iran for these hacks. One recent incident in the US involved Iran-linked hackers who disabled a water facility in Pennsylvania. The letter also called out a Chinese hacking group known as Volt Typhoon that compromised critical infrastructure systems like drinking water across the US. According to the letter, these attacks pose a serious threat to the supply of safe drinking water. Now, in response to the growing threat, US governors have been urged to ensure that water systems in their states evaluate their cybersecurity practices thoroughly and prepare for potential cyber incidents.
And in a bid to address the growing issue of space debris, startup Astroscale has made a robotic arm set to venture into space. With over 10,000 tons of debris and around 40,000 objects orbiting Earth, congestion in space has become a major concern.
Space debris is a big problem for all of us on Earth. Basically, since the start of the space age in 1957, we've had a throwaway culture in space. We've put lots of objects in space and we've basically not removed them. We've not recycled them or done anything else. So there's 10,000 tons of debris in space, near 40,000 objects, all floating around in different orbits.
At stake are billions of dollars that could be lost due to debris potentially colliding with crucial orbital devices. In response, governments and investors are actively seeking solutions. Astroscale is leading the charge with their active debris removal or ADR technology. This innovative device aims to capture defunct satellites and guide them towards Earth's atmosphere for controlled disposal. Additionally, Astroscale is exploring methods to refuel satellites in space, prolonging their operational lifespan. The company anticipates deploying the ADR craft by 2027.